Good afternoon, everyone. They say the best always comes last, and so it is that after a long working day, we get to enjoy this exciting and innovative event. I am Ice Calderon, your host for today, and for all the series of this monthly digital workshops organized by the Infrastructure and Construction Focus Group only for you. Today, we will be talking about hard floor planning, something that the general public may consider as a given, but those behind the scenes, the planners, designers, and architects, know very well that there are a lot of concepts behind it. We are, in fact, very happy to have the United Architects of the Philippines as our event partner for today, and we have the privilege to have very renowned speakers like the President of the United Architects of the Philippines, Architect Renato Heray, the Executive Director of the Infrastructure and Construction Focus Group, Mr. Lauren Ziller, the former Executive Director of the Construction Industry Authority of the Philippines, Architect Ramon Abiera, the Chairman and CEO of Italpinas Development Corporation, Italian architect Romulo Nati, the President and owner of Color My World Incorporated, a specialist in terrazzo flooring, Architect Abe Nang Cinco, the Business Development Manager of PlanRadar, Mr. Fabio Hirsch, directly talking to us from Vienna in Austria. This is our very first of these workshops, so allow me to explain what is the idea behind this and how will this work. You may have noticed that this is not a typical conference or seminar because it calls for direct interaction with the audience. In fact, we have an open setting, like a meeting in which we will have a question and answer at the end of the workshop where our audience can ask questions directly to our speakers and use it as a networking opportunity as well. You can kindly post a message in the chat with your full details, and later you will be able to request to ask questions through the same way so our operator can unlock your microphone and your camera. All of our sessions will be recorded so that others may view it in their own time. This first workshop is partnered with Eastgate Philippines, an importer and distributor of tiles for all your construction needs. You may have noticed some of their products and works in our pre-event loop, and I want to invite you to get in touch with them or let us know if you are interested to know more about their company and products. Further, one of the sponsors is also an innovative company from Austria, PlanRadar, that is a cloud-based construction management and monitoring application, something that has had an enormous demand during these COVID times, and that can save any construction manager one working day a week. We will also have a unique gift for all our attendees, as with a special promo code, you will be able to enjoy a free additional month to test this unique app. Without withholding the excitement any further, let me now introduce you to the first of our speakers. Our first speaker is an Italian businessman and management consultant born in the German-speaking region of South Tyrol, Italy. Today, he is a co-founder and managing director of the Infrastructure and Construction Focus Group, or ICFG, and the vice president of the Italian Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines. He has worked in various management roles and served as the managing director of a leading property brokerage firm and as chairman of a real estate investment company in Dubai. He is in the Philippines since 2011, and here he served as the Director for Corporate Affairs of Italpinas Development Corporation before taking over the position of Executive Director of the Italian Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines until 2019, after which he was elected its Vice President. He also served as the co-chair of the European Philippine Business Network, or EPBN, Infrastructure and Construction Committee, a project financed by the European Union. Let us all welcome Mr. Lauren Ziller.
Thank you very much, Ice, for the kind introduction. Welcome everyone to this ICFG workshop. I hope you can all hear me well. This is our first of a series of workshops, and in fact, as I was explaining to our speakers earlier, we will be recording these and then promote them to our members and our supporters, because as we know, it is very difficult to participate to these many online or digital events that are currently being offered. So with the time that you have, you can always go back and have a look at what the infrastructure and construction focus group has been doing. So let me just give you a brief of the infrastructure and construction focus group. I think you can see my presentation. Next, we started actually in 2017 with our first event, Rethinking Infrastructure Building. That event was then organized together with the other Chamber of Commerce, European Chambers of Commerce, like the Belgian Chamber, the French Chamber, the German Chamber of Commerce, the Italian Chamber of Commerce, of course, and the Dutch Chamber. Not to forget the Spanish Chamber. Of course, here you can see in the picture we have now Governor Diokno, we have Tugade, and the other gentleman is Enrico Strampelli from the EU delegation with myself next. And then we went on to hold further events like this one, where we are kindly supporting and awarding our speakers next. We went on to partner with DTI and the Philippine Constructors Association for the third Philippine Construction Industry Congress in 2018. That was a real success. We had very many participants, over 400. Next, please. And what is actually the infrastructure and construction focus group about? It is basically a platform where we make information accessible, information about the technology, business, and especially the industry. It is something beyond anything that existed before, an exclusive platform for you. We give industry news and updates through our Facebook page and our newsletter. We organize digital and physical events, forums, conferences, workshops like this one, and also B2B meetings, especially when we want to introduce new companies or new technologies. Then we have exclusive content directly from the industry stakeholders. So what we do, we hold interviews with various industry stakeholders, and then we launch it like an event on our website and on our Facebook page. We bring you important know-how on new materials, innovations, and technologies. We discover industry secrets and smart ideas from our supporters and contributors, because remember, the infrastructure and construction focus group is you, and it's all our industry together. And especially now with this post-COVID situation, we are all in there to help each other. And I'm sure there is new ideas and new things that we can contribute to the industry. You can list your business for free in our exclusive industry directory, and so you can get visibility for your product, your business, or your services. You can promote your company or your services to your target audience and gain market access by partnering with us or sponsoring one or more of our events. Next. So this is in brief the infrastructure and construction focus group. Next slide, please. Okay, it's this just to show you that we are actually very busy. We have an important event every month. So we have next month, we will be talking about infrastructure in the Philippines. Then in April, we have an event on lighting, planning, and design. And then in May, about roofing, planning, and design. And then another event in June about the construction innovation and digitalization. And then in July, about the precast versus hollow blocks. Then another one in August about sustainable and green construction materials, sustainable development and green construction materials, and then more about real estate and construction investment. So please follow us so you can actually participate to all of these events. If you cannot because you are busy, you can always watch them later on our Facebook page or also on our website. Next slide, please. So what are we going to see today? It's a very interesting topic that was suggested to us by some of the industry leaders because, next slide please, because it seems obvious flooring. I personally have, since I'm not an architect and a planner, you actually never put too much thought about it. But the flooring is a key element and trademark in any residential, industrial, or commercial establishment. And it is what actually defines the ambience. Now, I just put a few pictures there, but they are self-explanatory because flooring like that really tells everything about, well, first of all, the designer or who actually commissioned the design, but about the space itself. Next slide, please. And then for the use that it is designed, flooring is defined like our basic needs, from cold or warm climates to wet or dry environments. Meaning, for example, bedrooms have a wooden flooring, especially in colder areas in the world, and have tile flooring in warmer areas in the world. That actually is a climate given. Just as an example, next slide, please. So there is a lot of different flooring, indoor, outdoor flooring, concrete flooring, tile flooring. Here we made a small list of possible flooring: cork flooring, carpet flooring, bamboo flooring, natural stone, rubber flooring, engineered flooring, and many more. And I'm actually now very curious, next slide please, to hear what the industry stakeholders tell us about when to use what. So I'll give you back to Ms. Isa to introduce our next star speaker, and I wish you all a very great event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Lawrence. All right, so let us proceed to the second speaker. He is an architect and a landscape architect. Our guest of honor reinforces his strategy to always design in good harmony with the environment. With that trademark in the field, he has completed a variety of architecture and landscape projects during his decade-long stint as an architect abroad and a landscape architect. For his notable contributions and exemplary service, he was honored with the Fiati Architecture Professional Awards 2018 and awarded by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, or NCCA, of the same year. The Haligin ng Dangal People's Choice Awardee for his exemplary design of the Valenzuela People's Park. As service is the heart of his leadership and believes that God blessed him in infinite ways, so he returns, blesses, and helps others. Ladies and gentlemen, the 27th UAP National President, let us all welcome architect Renato Adalia Heray.
Yeah, thank you, Ice. Thank you. Thank you, Lawrence, for having me again. Well, as a landscape architect, and a landscape architect, perhaps I'll dwell more on the hardscape. As you know, we have hard surface planning, but allow me to dwell more on the hardscape. Well, what is hardscape in landscaping? The term hardscape refers to the natural and non-living elements in landscapes such as bricks, concrete, natural stone, and wooden arbors. We'll share. I just want to share this to you. Yeah, thank you. Share screen. Okay, can you see it? Is it okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So hardscape refers to the hard landscape materials, which include paved areas, driveways, retaining walls, stairs, walkways, and any other landscaping made up of hard-wearing materials such as wood, stone, and concrete. From an urban planning perspective, hardscape can include very large features such as paved roads, driveways or fountains, and even small pools. Most water features are hardscape because they require a barrier to retain the water. Now, the beauty of hardscape. In landscape design, hardscape are essential non-plant element in your landscape that complement your greenscapes and provide attractive functionality to your outdoor sanctuary. There should be planning in the hardscape surface, like for example, the choice of hardscape materials, wherein every hardscape project is constructed to make it personal and customized as possible. Allow me to give you some types of hardscape materials. One of them is wood. Perhaps with wood, probably this is the first material that comes to mind when dreaming of a deck design. Perhaps the most popular hardscape material, but a wood hardscape won't stand the test of time through weather. No? But of course, a well-maintained wooden deck sure is nice to look at or even a nice to lounge. We have as well wood composite panel as hardscape material to give you an aesthetic appeal of a wooden surface. Consider whether your feature to be experiencing occasional or high traffic use. We have concrete. Recent years have seen the rising trends of polished concrete floors indoors, but concrete is also a long time hardscape material. You might not even notice that concrete hardscape floors in your homes anymore, in the garage, driveways, walkways, or even in a courtyard. We have as well the stamped concrete, which is commonly used now. This is how it was being done. We have as well bricks. Bricks as one of the type of material, like wood, bricks is a hardscape material with classically pleasing aesthetics, but bricks and wood also have the of being naturally vulnerable to wear and tear from weather. Effects. And with the hardscaping, we can love it as well. You know, tile is definitely one of the pricier end of our hardscape material option. This one, the tile and stamped concrete mixed together. Perhaps you'll see the stamp there, then as well as the tile, using tile as well and stamped concrete in Valenzuela People's Park. And mixed with softscape with some grass. We have loose stones. Loose stones as a hardscape material. Loose stones is most frequently associated with gravel paths and driveways. But actually an incredible versatile element, exterior design. A loose stone hardscape feature can be entirely paved a patio, a garden border, or a garden itself. We can use loose stone as a focal point or an element in the landscape. A loose stone used as well. A cobblestone perhaps used in Then we have pavers, which have been specifically designed for pavement. You might describe pavers as tiles that are meant to be walked upon and should be strong enough to bear the burden as one of the floor design solutions. Of course, this is much better. At least water can penetrate in, wherein we will have just a sand underneath. We used bricks in this project, wherein we have as well for the innovative design using the traditional. Hopefully, this will be in Baguio, in Burnham Park, using it as a design, using that material. Pavers as used as well in De La Salle University. But then, we have no ponding of water because it penetrates in the sides or pavers. Then one of the pavers perhaps now is being used is the previous pavers wherein water can penetrate directly. So pouring of water, then you could see the water flows from that very good well as Grass Creek. These are permeable. It allows water to infiltrate through surfaces that would normally be impermeable. With this, rain may recharge the groundwater table, and air may pass to nourish the roots of grass and trees. Grass Creeks is environmentally friendly solutions that offers an impervious pavement for vehicle access as well as parking. Stop. Thank you. So to end my presentation, as you are planning and selecting hardscape material for hardscape and those innovative ideas, keep in mind that you are adding a great value to your outdoor living space with hardscaping. Consider also the area available to your design. For example, the structures, the existing trees, and of course the softscape. And lastly, if the hardscape design is complex, better call an expert. They'll work with your design ideas, but ensure that it's done safely and in compliance with our local codes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Architect Haray, for that information. And I'm pretty sure that we've learned a lot from your presentation. So once again, thank you so much for accommodating us. I believe you also have another another meeting coming up. So thank you for accommodating us in your schedule.
Thank
So
you.
our thank you, sir. All right. So our next speaker, actually, I would like to already say sorry because we were not able to get his profile. But what we definitely know is that he's also well known in the industry, and he is the owner of his company. And as I've mentioned earlier, he is the president and the owner of Color My World Incorporated, which is a specialist in terrazzo flooring. Let us all welcome Architect Abe ng Cinco.
Good afternoon. Kung hey, Pacho. Diba? Malapit na. At saka Happy Valentine's. Sabay-sabay na. Isasabay-sabay.
Sabay-sabay.
New Year. Kung hey, Pacho, and Happy Valentine's. So, magandang hapon po. And I'm here to talk about terrazzo. Just to give you a little background, our company, we started out as a marble company back in 1979. And eventually, we started doing terrazzo about 14 years ago. But prior to that, we were doing mosaics. Being an architect, I was very concerned with sustainability. So I began exploring and developing ways on how to eventually reuse my waste materials. So I went into doing mosaics and eventually developing terrazzo. Terrazzo, as you may all know, is not a new material. It's been here for, I think, more than 100 years ago, and probably Mr. Loren Ziller would vouch for me when I say the Italians were able to develop that about 100 years ago, mixing crushed marble with cement and then grinding them on site. But eventually, during this time, a lot of development has been put into terrazzo. They have developed not only cement, but we are using polyester as well as epoxy. as a matrix. Before, it used to be only white cement. But now we have gone into using polyester because it would be more flexible. And because of that, we can also prefab your requirements or any requirements by the architect. As an architect myself, I we were able to go into this development knowing that we would like to offer something that is not offered off the shelves. You know, people don't go into a store or a depot or look at a catalog and buy tiles. And we would like to offer something more, something that the architect can really come up with his own designs and with his colors. And that's another thing. That's why our company name is Color My World, because we actually color your projects in the natural way as much as we can by using colored stones or marble. And so we have developed that. We are now doing some cast on-site terrazzo as well as prefab terrazzo. Can you go on to the next slide, please? Yes, those are cast on site, and we also fabricate prefab tiles. Like this one, we can prefab your stairs. Uh, it would come into your site on an L shape with the tread and the riser, and all you have to do is, just install it. And then we can also do countertops. Can you go on to the next slide, please? I think there are countertops there. Yeah, those countertops, you can basically design whatever countertops that you want. We can prefab this as well and then reassemble it on site. Can you go back a little bit? Thank you. We also provide this one. This is actually a terrazzo that looks like a cast on site, but it's actually a prefab terrazzo. Because one of the things that hinder us when we do cast on site is when the site is prohibitive. For example, like a mall, an existing mall or a running hospital, wherein you cannot grind or sand materials because of the waste products that we can produce. That's why we did this in a prefab manner, inserting those divider strips, those aluminum, actually, those are aluminum divider strips, 6 millimeter. And what we did, we simply designed that, and here in the factory, here in our shop, we already made a prefab curved slabs according to the architect's specs. And then we just simply install it back with those divider strips in between. So can I get back a little bit? I think I did some logos or seal. Yeah, for example, this one. We can also do this. This is really giving architects a lot of flexibility. If you're doing logos or seals, we can do it. If it's so big, we can divide it into 4, divide it into 5. The only limitations that we have is how big we can fit in a truck. So the length are normally about 2.5 to 2.4 to 2.5 meters long. We did something like 3 meters long, but it would normally have a challenge when it comes to material handling. So that's the reason why we kind of make it a little bit smaller, because of the handling. It's not light, it's heavy as well. It weighs about our polyester and epoxy terrazzo is about 14 millimeter thick, and that's about 40 kilos per square meter. So you can have an idea of how heavy or how to handle it. So can we move forward, please? Next slide, please. Thank you, Kat. And this one, we did this for a mosque, and the architect would like to have this prefabricated. So we did this prefab. Actually, if you look at it closely, those are it's assembled jigsaw puzzle, wherein once it goes to the site, they simply reassemble it back. Move on the next slide, please. Next, please. Go on, please. Okay, go, please. Go on. Next slide, please. Next slide. Meron na, meron pa. Is that it? Oh, okay. So anyway, as you can see, it provides or it offers architects a wide range of possibilities in their designs. You can specify the colors and you can specify the design. And we have what we call a 3 millimeter, what we call a number three terrazzo, wherein you can see here, these are the chip sizes, which is about 3 millimeter in diameter or 3 millimeter across. And then what we have, what we call number five, which is about 5 millimeters across. And it also goes to as much as 7 to 8 millimeters across. And then we have the bigger chips, which is this one. So you can, you have a wide range of possibilities when it comes to designing your floors. And it is very tough. As you may all know, if you've been traveling a lot, and you can find terrazzo in airports, in bus terminals, in train terminals, in heavy, in a very heavy, heavy traffic areas, train stations, terminals, you will find terrazzo. And epoxy terrazzo has been proven very durable and very tough. There are some drawbacks, however. Polyester and epoxy, you can only use it indoor. For the cement terrazzo, you can use it for outdoor as well, in and out. But for terrazzo, for polyester and epoxy, it's only for indoor application. But it's very strong. It ranges the cement. The last time we checked, the cement terrazzo would probably have about 3,000 to 3,500 psi, whereas the polyester and the terrazzo would go as far as 13,000 psi. It's an overkill, actually. You can have an elephant go through your lobby without fear of cracking it. And there are also a lot of things that we can do with it. I don't think Kat was able to get some of the pictures, but we can actually make a slab with grouts and spaces and everything, that when you apply it, it would really look like pavers. And if you've been to Evia, we did that with Evia Center in Danghari. Those are terrazzo that looks like a paver, that looks like the things that they use in Italian plaza or piazza. So there are a lot of possibilities. And in case you would like to know a little bit more about terrazzo, in terms of how big you can pour in an area, for a cement terrazzo, we have a very a small area to work on. It's about 1.5 by 1.5 meters, or a 2 by 2.5 square meter grid or modules. Unlike in epoxy or polyester, we can go as big as 25 to 30 square meters in one pouring. And in terms of curing, cement would take time, but polyester and epoxy is definitely, it can cure faster than concrete. So if you need to know more about us, let me know. But in terms of hard surface, terrazzo is hard. Terrazzo is very good in every situation, especially in heavy traffic areas. Highly easy to maintain. We only ask you to use plain water and plain soap and water. Just keep it mopped all the time. Keep it clean all the time. Have a guy to mop it every day, and it will always be looking good. Okay, that's all for my presentation for today. I hope I didn't go beyond the time limit, Lawrence.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Architect Nang Cinco.
Yeah.
I was really happy about the colors. So you really literally colored our world today. Thank you for your colorful presentation.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's have the third speaker. Our third speaker has a wide range of experience in design and planning and construction involvements. His previous projects include building types such as schools, hospitals, sports facilities, buildings, retail, commercial, industrial, military facilities, religious, residential, palaces, and very large complexes. currently an ICFG director and UAP committee member. Let's all welcome architect Ramon Abiera.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you again for the opportunity to be able to present. Let me share my screen, or do you see it? Does everybody see this?
Not yet,
Hello?
Kath.
Not yet? Why?
Kath, can we have your assistance for architect Abiera's presentation?
I already shared it. Sorry, yeah. Where's that again? Here, do you see this?
Yes,
Okay.
we can already see it.
Okay. Today, together with having an innovative floor design solution, uh, I consider very much important is understanding what embodied energy of flooring materials are. Okay, understanding this important aspect plays an important role in reducing resource consumption, pollution, and greenhouse gas emission. Is essential that the measurement of embodied energy becomes a crucial part in decision making for designers and clients. It's not only about the cost, it's about also our contribution as designers to our world's resources and environment. Okay, by comparison, embodied energy of floor slabs, just the slab itself, not even the surface. If you have different kinds, there are many different kinds of floor slabs, and they have very varied embodied energy comparison. Embodied energy is the energy that is consumed to how to get materials out of the ground, transport them, and manufacture them into 1 square meter of material. So, for example, for floor slabs, you can see that if you use light gauge steel floor cassettes, or maybe you use timber construction or thin precast concrete deck, or different kinds of concrete slabs, their MJ is megajoule per square meter. It's the amount of energy that was consumed. You can see that each one of them have a different kind. So if you were tailor fitting your project to become really green, in the choice of these various materials, you would already be able to attain some of that goals. Okay, for example, in a building, the proportions of material are in a typical building are this one, the steel, the glass, the concrete, and the aluminum. You can see that they have a different proportion as they are utilized in buildings. And each of these materials and all other materials have different kinds of embodied energy. So it is important for designers to be able to understand exactly uh, the different embodied energy of the material, not only the characteristics, the cost, and the commercial availability, but also the embodied energy uh, within those materials. Here also you can see that the tons of carbon dioxide that uh, is expelled to the environment are being done by various. So these are for buildings. If you can see this, uh, you have the ones that are being expelled by industrial and transport and others. And agriculture, for example, these are the ones that they use that comes from agriculture electricity, manure from animals, and others. For buildings, you can see that primarily the expenditure that we have are based from biofuels used in cooking and heating, LPG for cooking, commercial institutional electricity, uh, combustion for other sectors, and the manufacturers of various materials. Okay. Most of the focus in the building industry has been on the immediate impact, such as how much money can be saved by reducing operational energy. The reality is that energy consumption is driven down and the relative importance of embodied energy goes up. For example, while adding roof and wall insulation to an insulated building reduces the building's operational energy, it also increases its embodied energy. The proportion of embodied energy can jump from 0 to 15% if more or and more insulation is added. The embodied energy of insulation increase, but operational savings decreases. As the global trend is towards tighter regulation for operational energy consumption, especially in climate zones with high heating and cooling requirements, the impact of the choices made when selecting building material must be considered. Materials that are manufactured are primarily used for constructions of new homes and commercial buildings. The worst culprits in building materials manufacturing are easy to determine. 5 to 7% of global CO2 emissions are caused by cement production. 5 to 7%. If you reduce the cement, the concrete part of your building, you will be able to stem affect the 7% global emissions. Iron and steel accounts for 11%, and more than 5% of the world's entire electrical generation is spent on the production of aluminum. Embodied energy is the environmental impact expressed in the form of energy that is integral part of the material product or assembly having been consumed in its journey from its original source to the final product. Embodied energy has an environmental impact due to the extraction, refining, processing, transportation, fabrication of construction products count towards their embodied energy. Sorry. In a typical 6,000 square meter, 5-story office block, about 55% of the building's embodied energy is in the structural concrete slab. That means it's important to understand better our type of concrete slab systems that we use and choose for our designs. 20% from windows, 15% from walls, and the remaining 10% from flooring. Okay, for example, if we go to ceramic tiles, ceramic tiles, which are 0.005 minimum thickness, default is 0.010, you have 159 megajoules per square meter. And ceramic tiles are basically hard wearing, which minimizes the maintenance required. However, the grout between the tiles does not require maintenance. Ceramic tiles have high embodied energy because of the large amount of energy required for firing to harden them during the manufacturing process. The next one, for example, is vinyl. Vinyl floors is water resistant, low maintenance, and inexpensive. It's easy to install and it's durable. However, vinyl flooring has high embodied energy and can release harmful volatile organic compounds or VOCs during installation. Although durable, vinyl floorings must be laid on flat surface and an even surface might cause wearing and holes which are difficult to repair as vinyl is usually laid as a single sheet. Vinyl tiles are also available. You can see The megajoule is 124 per square meter. Now, this may seem small. Later in the presentation, I will show you uh, the equivalence of megajoules to various applications. Next one is stone tiles or slabs. Okay, if you were to, uh, despite its being natural material, they have relatively high embodied energy, stone tiles. This one, Abe can actually uh, understand this because fairly to handle stones and cut them into tiles require a lot of energy during the cutting part on the mountain and in the transportation, particularly on the cutting back on the tiles. This one I have observed from our previous speaker during his Marble King days. And this one also has a megajoule of 447 megajoules per square meter. The next one will be finished concrete floors. These are floors that are just polished. More commonly referred as screed cement plaster is often used preparation layer for soft or flexible floor finishes or tiles. Cement plaster can also be used as a finish layer, but it chips more easily than other flooring options. I was just maybe last week with a uh, edge audit on a particular building in Mandaluyong, and the building had been had a uh, polished concrete, and it looks very nice, really. So this one you can see there is very small amount of megajoules that it has because primarily it's already part of the slab. So the finished part component is only 40 megajoules per square meter. The next one will be linoleum sheets. Linoleum, often referred to as lino, or is a floor covering made from solidified linseed oil, pine resin, ground quartz dust, and wood flour and mineral fillers such as calcium carbonate. These materials are added to canvas. Backing pigments are often added to the material. Linoleum appears similar to vinyl and can be used as an alternative and has much lower embodied energy. The embodied energy is only 103 megajoules for linoleum sheets. The next one is terrazzo. Terrazzo, which was mentioned a while ago. Terrazzo tiles are hard wearing options for flooring, requiring very little maintenance. Terrazzo floors can be laid in situ, as mentioned by architect Nancinco, by pouring concrete or resin with granite chips and then polishing the surface. Alternatively, terrazzo tiles can be manufactured in a factory before being laid. This one also, if you can see, have a very low megajoules because the material aggregates are actually broken pieces of uh, recycled materials coming from quarries. So this one is actually a good material for environmental concerns. The next one, although this is not a hard surface, I will just mention anyway, is actually nylon carpets. Nylon carpets have embodied energy because of the large amount of energy used in their manufacture and also due to the fact that nylon is made from oil. Nylon carpets have good acoustic properties and help to reduce reverberation times as well as the transfer of impact and sound. They have about 176 megajoules per square meter. The next one is cork tiles. Cork tiles, cork has an embodied energy and is environmentally friendly. It can be harvested from the same tree for about 200 years. Harvesting is done with minimal impact on the environment, and no trees are cut down for the manufacture of cork products. Advanced coating technology and provides highly consistent and long-lasting protection even in high traffic environments. If you can see, it has a very low uh, embodied energy of only 30 megajoules per square meter. The next one would be laminated wood floor. Laminated wood flooring is more dimensionally stable than solid wood flooring, so it can be used in rooms prone to changes in moisture level or where underfloor heating is used. The initial capital cost is lower than the said solid wood, but the number of times that can be refinished is less compared to solid wood flooring because of the relatively small thickness of the finished layer. For this one, it has a 284 megajoule per square meter. You must remember that although we are talking, for example, of 284 megajoules, the square meter being used for buildings can be enormous. So the multiplier will be big. Like if you have the building that's 10,000 square meters using a lot of these materials, then you can see the amount accumulate easily. Okay, there are also softer ones, which are plant fiber, which uses seagrass, sisal, coir, or jute carpet. This one has even a very small megajoule because they are natural in nature and they don't require too much per fabrication cost. So you can use these for some areas that does not require heavy traffic at all. Here are terracotta tiles. This is one of the other types that have been in the market for a long time. Terracotta is fine-grained orange or reddish brown fired clay that is used for several construction decorative purposes, mainly in roof and floor tiles. The name comes from the Italian, which means baked earth, as it is literally baked or fired earth or soil. The color varies slightly depending on the clay used. Terracotta can be made waterproof by burnishing and glazing any sturdy material, and it's durable and resistant to both fire, water, and make it an ideal building material. It's also lighter than stone and can be glazed to provide a wide variety of colors, including finishes that resemble stone or metal patina. Terracotta is relatively inexpensive material, and the material has about 126 megajoule per square meter of embodied energy. The next one is parquet or wood block finish. Parquet is wood block flooring in a geometric pattern. It is available either solid or engineered construction, both of which can be manufactured to have an aged, rustic appearance. Solid parquet wood flooring, which was common in the Philippines before, and is more of a composed of layers with the wood species forming the top wood surface and two or more under layers of wood running at 90 degrees to each other. The crisscross layers increase stability, which enables the product to be installed on over all types of subfloors and to be used as underfloor heating. Has a 103 megajoule per square meter. Okay, due to the construction boom that is happening in the emerging market, where population growth and migration, either immigration, in our case, immigration to cities, it will continue to double the building stock that is required until 2050. Therefore, it is important that the measurement of embodied energy must become crucial in decision-making process for designers and clients. Thank you very much. I just want to, uh, my presentation is based from EDGE. EDGE is efficiency in design for excellence in design for greater efficiency. It's an IFC, a World Bank Group sustainable platform. Okay, I will just want to show you a brief thing about these megajoules. You see, if you have 3.6 megajoule, that is 1 kilowatt hour, meaning what is spent is actually 1 kilowatt hour, uh, or 36 is 10 kilowatts. okay, you can also see megajoule to megacalories. So you can actually, I can see it's okay. And also for oil, megajoule to gigatons of oil, or it can also be done like to find out how much actually energy is being expended. For this, I'd like to thank everyone. These are only finishing material. Edge, for example, the sustainable features of Edge are comprise all the other components of the building. And for today, I just focused on the finish strategy. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you, Architect Rowan Obiera, for that very informational presentation. I believe we have also learned a lot from that presentation. We will be having questions for all our speakers later on. And now we proceed to our fourth speaker. He is a multi awarded Italian architect and currently the executive chairman and CEO of Italpina's Development Corporation. It is a publicly listed Italian Filipino real estate development company that specializes in the design and development of sustainable buildings in emerging cities across the Philippines. Here's architect Romulo Nati.
Good afternoon, everyone,
Good
and
afternoon.
thank you very much for inviting me to share our projects. And I also would like to thank the architect that just presented before me. All of them really very interesting. Actually, I would like to spend more time to learn from all of you about your, your specific areas. But I was it was really interesting. Um, so, as you said, I chair and I am the CEO and chairman of IDC, Italian Filipino company, and I will now share the screen and show some of the projects that we have done in the Philippines. Okay, so we in IDC we focus on design passive green buildings in emerging locations in the Philippines, and we are also working with the Edge, and as architect Abiera mentioned, is the green rating system developed by IFC, which is part of the World Bank Group. And it's a very interesting and effective green rating system, and works very well in the Philippine setting. We got several awards in our short life because the company is pretty young compared to our competitors. The company was incorporated back in 2009, so it's only 11 years that we are working, actually now 12. The value proposition of the company are mainly three. We design and build passive green building. Green building using passive green strategies, and in emerging location in the Philippines for the rising middle class in the country. The projects that we develop and we are developing at the moment are mainly three so far. We have two in Cagayan de Oro and one in Batangas. Our first project is Primavera Residences in Cagayan de Oro, and Primavera City is also a green project which is currently under construction in Cagayan, same location, uptown Cagayan, and we have also now a project in Santo Tomas, Batangas. The completed project, we have, as mentioned, Primavera Residences, which is I like to call him our first baby, because it was really our first project. In Cagayan, is awarded as the best mixed-use building in the Philippines in 2012. Is a rated green building by Edge. These are some of the green features that we use, mainly increased natural ventilation, shading, And we also produce some power, renewable energy through photovoltaic panels on the rooftop. These are actual photos. And in terms of hard surface, I mean, I have to say we are quite traditional. So far, we have been using in this project in particular anti-stiffening tiles, and we also use synthetic green the grass for some open areas, like this one is the courtyard, internal courtyard. Then ceramic tiles for the inside, and also carpet for offices. In terms of ongoing project, we have, as mentioned, Primavera City, which is a much bigger project in Cagayan de Oro. I just would like to highlight that we work very close with Filipino
architects and engineers. Actually, they are the ones who sign all the plans. Being an Italian architect, I am not allowed to sign plans in the Philippines, and I find this one actually not wrong. Because it's also important to work with technical people. I mean, architects, engineers that know better the restrictions, the building national building regulation, local regulation in the Philippines. So actually, it's also a pleasure to work with Filipino architects and in general professionals, because I learned a lot, like today. These are short video that can give an idea about our way of designing. We call it performance-based design. In short, what we do, we have a massive use of computer design. In this case, we shape the building in such a way that we can optimize the weather condition of the place, and so again, we shape the facade, we produce power with solar panels. We are now also doing rainwater harvesting and recycling, and all these things together help the project to reduce the energy consumption and water consumption. In terms of design and materials, we try to use as well materials when possible, and the design is pretty much minimalist, modern, contemporary Italian design. We also give the opportunity to clients to furnish. We help them to furnish the units if they want help from us. And we like to enhance natural light and natural ventilation, so that the
use of aircon is drastically reduced, and so also the power bill for the unit owners is reduced. In Primavera City, we are using outside wooden-like tiles, and as I said, the rooftop is covered with photovoltaic panels. I see that there is a big delay in the video. So these are some slides showing the interior and the exterior of Primavera City, which is also rated green. I mean, I think it's, if I'm not wrong, it's in the process to be rated by Edge as a green building, and it's going to be developed in phases. Phase one, this is an old photo that was taken a few months ago. The project is going to be delivered soon, and this is phase two of Primavera City, that when construction started just actually started before the pandemic. Then we had to stop the construction. Now we catch up the construction. The last project that I show today is called Miramonti, which in Italian means a mountain view, because it's located just at the foothills of of Mount McKinley in Batangas, and is located in the middle between Manila and the Batangas city or Batangas port, inside an industrial park developed by ICCT. The project is going to be developed in phases. In this case, we are going to use cladding for the elevation for outside, and the project will be, the terraces will have green plants that will be watered using the drainage coming from the aircon. This is how the site will look like when also phase 2 will be completed. It's a podium with commercial at the ground floor, offices second floor, then we have 2 floors parking and amenities located on the roof of the podium. In this rendering, you can also see the materials that we are planning to use. Again, we don't furnish units fully. We don't turn over. We don't sell units fully furnished. Our units are livable, but we also help buyers if they are interested in furnishing. This is how the building looks like just February 6th, so more or less a little less than a week ago. If you drive from Manila to Batangas, you will probably see this building. Thank you very much for your attention, and please do not hesitate to ask questions. And by the way, to ICE, if it would be possible later on to have the contact emails and website of architects who presented and will present later, so that we can be in touch, because it would be nice to also create some synergy. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Architect Romulo Nati. Of course, we will be getting all of your emails and contact details so that we will be able to get in touch with you. And also, if you want to get in touch with our speakers as well. Once again, thank you so much, Architect Nati, for the presentation. It's good to see the application of hard surface planning in actual projects. All right, so I would like to thank all the speakers for their very interesting presentations. I'm sure our attendees have learned a lot, and now we are going to have an even more interesting part, the question and answer session, in which you will be able to ask your questions to our guest speakers. Let me first ask the first question, since I found this very interesting, and I definitely want to know more about this questions. The first question goes out to everyone. Um, Obviously, we have sustainable or eco-friendly hard surfaces, but what are the compositions that we have to look out for, as even for laymen or even for architects as well? Because I'm speaking as a layman. I have no architectural background, but I'm very curious about what are the compositions to look out for to know that the hard surfaces that we are using are actually sustainable or eco-friendly.
I think architect Ramon Napiera explain this very well. I would say so. Maybe, I mean, I don't want to steal your work, eyes, but maybe architect Piera is the perfect person
Yes.
to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, uh, the embodied energy in materials, one cannot see them. So in the choice of building materials, you have to really understand it from the point of view of green advocates to understand exactly what are the green materials. But in the actual selection of materials, there are many factors that architects consider. One of them is traffic. If there is a lot of traffic in the area, meaning the material will be subjected to too much wear and tear, then more robust materials need to be used. The other thing is maintainability. There are materials that are very good when they are new. There are materials, for example, that are good when they are completed and finished. However, if there were a little damage to the materials, it's very difficult to patch them. This is important also because if you cannot replace, if you have a big square meter of material and then there is a suddenly some problem that needs to be repaired, if you cannot match the repair nicely, then there will be a big mark on the wall, on the floor. The other thing is also to consider is the location from which these materials were sourced, because in green, it is always important that the materials were sourced as close to the application, so that there will be least transport costs. You know, when you put materials on board ships, for example, they consume a lot of energy, and then it's transported from their factory to the ship, to the ship to your factory, and then to the dealer, and the dealer to your house. So there's a lot of handling of this material. So if it's sourced too far in lead, it's 500 miles radius would be considered near. But the nearer, the better, so that there will be least use of energy in transporting the materials. The other one also will be the flexibility of the materials to be applied to different types of applications. If you have, for example, large pieces of material, it's very difficult to use them for small applications because you have to cut, and in the cutting of these materials, there will be a lot of wastage. So it will be nice if the materials will be bought and sold in the right size already, so that there will be least wastage of material. And also the maintenance is important. How they are going to be maintained, particularly by the end user, will also be important in decision making. But of course, in our reality, the cost is also very important, the initial cost. If the material is so good, but so expensive, chances are that becomes a critical part, particularly for developers like Architect Nati. When they choose materials, they would choose materials that would conform to their overall development cost projection. I think I've explained that well enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Architect Arbiera, for that comprehensive explanation. Another question that I would like to ask is for Architect Avi Nangsinko, sir. Because you've presented a colorful presentation, I'd like to ask, is there any favorite project of yours that used terrazzo flooring? Can you name it for us? Okay, I think I'll. I think he's. I think he's somewhere right now. Okay, so let me proceed to asking. I think Lawrence would like to ask a question to Architect Natty. Lawrence.
Yes, Architect Nat, I have a question for you because just coincidentally, we have seen Architect Abiera. By the way, Architect Cinco is back, so you will be able to ask him the question right after mine. You are working, as far as I remember, with Edge, correct, Ramon? So, and one of the buildings of Italpinas is actually EDGE certified. So, what does that mean, Architect Nati?
Okay, any building, any developer can say that their building is green, correct? So we need third party accredited organization, reliable, and that can assess if this building is really green or not. First of all, what does it mean green? Green means a building that has a reduced footprint. So it's like for a financial statement, of a company in order to make sure that the financial statement is comply. A third-party organization must assess that a certain build, actually first the design of the building, then the construction of the building, it can be called green. There are many organizations in the world. In the Philippines, there is Verde, there is LEED, there is EDGE. Then we have many, there is Priam, etc. in other countries. So developers can choose their own green rating system to have their building green certified. I personally like Edge, and I was the one who decided and convinced my partners to go with Edge, because I find it very much integrated again with the place where the building has to be rated. Again, the Philippine environment, in terms of natural environment, but also in terms of artificial environment, it's different from, I don't know, Canada or Italy or Japan. So, for example, in the Philippines, cost of energy is very high. In Japan, it's not. So, Edge takes in consideration through the process of accreditation of analyzing the building, all these aspects that are very regional and are very locally, how do you say, related. So I find it really very, how do you say, smart. Actually, remember before we decided to have our buildings rated by Edge, I was personally looking for a green rating system that, first of all, were not too expensive. Second, they didn't base their analysis of sustainability of a building only on expensive high-tech features, but mainly, I mean, I was looking for a green rating system that could take into consideration passive green strategies, which make the building less expensive. As I said, they're more embedded on the design, and of course, as architect Zapiera also mentioned, on the material use. So that's the reason why we have chosen Edge, and that's the reason why we will continue to work with Edge, because I find it, from my point of view, I mean, without taking out anything from other green rating system, I find Edge really very effective. And just to finish, also, it's very well approachable, easy user friendly. A lot of operation can be done online, and it's really very well designed and easy to implement. So, in short, the green rating system is that a third authority that can really assess that a building is green. And Edge, from my point of view, one of the best in the Philippines.
All right, thank you for that, Architect Nati. I would safely assume that it's like an ISO, but for green buildings.
Yeah, I mean, something like that, correct.
Something like that. All right. Thank you so much for that. All right. So, okay. So I'll go back to Architect Cinco regarding my question earlier. What is your favorite project that used terrazzo flooring? Can you give us like a name of a project? Sorry, please. Microphone. Please unmute.
My favorite what?
The favorite project that used terrazzo flooring.
The project that we that I can say that went very very smoothly is somewhere in Cavite. We uh, we used a cast on site polyester resin, and I think it was done more than 10 years ago, around that time. It was inside a processing facility, a factory, office factory building. I'm not sorry if I'm at the liberty to tell you the
Okay,
project.
it's okay. The name, yes.
Yeah,
All right. So it's an
it-
office factory.
yeah.
All right. Thank you, Architect Cinco. There's another question from Jacobson Montoya. With regards to terrazzo flooring, do you use recycled materials that is directly sourced from local materials recovery facilities such as glass or plastic bottles?
Yes, actually, just to give you an idea, we used to be a marble company, like I said a while ago. We have a factory here in Mecoan. We quarry marble blocks. They bring it here, and then we cut them into slabs and tiles. And that's where our source is. We're in Bulacan, Mecawayan, Bulacan, and our raw material is in Bulacan. And there are mountainous areas here in Bulacan. We get our sources from San Rafael, San Ildefonso, San Miguel, Angat. So it's basically within the province. And if we are going to bring in materials from other areas, for example, like Romblon or Mindoro, then we need to ship them in. But that comprises about less than 5% of our raw material inventory. So most of our products are within Bulacan. And like I said, because at that time we were cutting so many tiles and slabs, we had so many waste products. That's where I decided to develop terrazzo. We actually started with mosaics, which makes them into smaller pieces, which maximizes a lot of waste products as well. And eventually, when mosaics went out of style, when architects went into minimalistic modern trends, we decided to go into terrazzo. So, and then what happened is when we crushed these chips into terrazzo, there are still smaller chips, right? And the smaller chips, we were able to develop into what we call tierra tiles. These are tierra tiles. These are actually made from smaller chips that were accumulated during our production of terrazzo. Instead of throwing them away, these are all assorted in colors. These are all the colors that we use. But since it's so difficult to segregate small colors, small chips, we decided to combine them all and turn them into what we call a tierra tiles, which is basically terrazzo, but the matrix is also made of marble dust or marble powder. And then again, we also, during production, we also make dust and powder during production. Malikabok dito sa plante. So we have a lot of dust and powder. And from there, we have slurry. We cut marble with water, and with the dust and water mix, they turn into mud. We call them marble slurry. But when they're dry, they become powder. We recycle them as well. What we do is we turn them into plaster. My wall here, this black wall, is not actually paint. It's plaster made of marble dust. So we can put colors into anything. And you ask about glass? Yes, we used to get glass. I used to make glass terrazzo. Using glass. Actually, what happened was I was collecting glass from construction sites. I tried using broken bottles to turn into terrazzo, but bottles are very thin. They're not very thick as architectural glass. But you know, if I need the bigger chips, I would need architectural glass. So I would go to projects that have damaged windows, and normally with a lot of other construction where they have this rejected windows and rejected glass. So we turned them into terrazzo as well. But unfortunately, we had to give that up because glass apparently is being recycled by the glass company themselves. So I said, okay, go ahead, just recycle your own glass and I'll just stick with stones. Yes, we sourced them somewhere near. As a matter of fact, as I said, we started recycling all of our waste products into terrazzo. And then what happened was we ran out of waste. So what we did was we went to the quarry. Again, the people, the quarry people, when you go up to the mountain, you still see waste products in the quarry. When they cut marble blocks, they have a lot of what they call, unwanted blocks or unwanted colors. We simply pick them up. We basically clean up the quarry area, bringing in the marble. And a lot of people are crushing marble, and they're using that as it's calcium carbonate. So basically, they use it for feeds, they use it for other uses, they use it for paint, they use it for toothpaste. In my case, I can use different colors, but for these people who are using waste materials from quarry, they need to have one single color. As for me, I would need, it's fortunate for me that I could get all the different colors that I could get within the area. However, there are certain architects who would like to have colors that are not available locally. For example, like green, some dark brown or something like that that we don't have. We then again tell the clients that you bring them to us. We'll crush them for you and turn them into terrazzo. As much as possible, I don't source imported materials unless it's very, very necessary and for a very, very small area only. For example, if you want green marble using Verde Alpi, for example, and we don't normally get a lot of damaged or broken Verde Alpi tiles and slabs, so we are very, very limited on that. I will not buy a whole slab and then break it and crush it and turn it into terrazzo. So I would wait for it to be crushed, to be damaged, to be rejected before I get them. So in terms of that, we normally source our materials locally within the Bulacan area. Thank you for the question.
Thank you so much, Architect Cinco. That's I'm just smiling all along because I'm so entertained and I have now gained so many insights about terrazzo flooring. All right. Without other questions, we will be wrapping this up. So once again, we would like to thank everyone for joining our event for today, which is entitled Hard Surface Planning. This is presented to you by Infrastructure and Construction Focus Group in partnership with the United Architects of the Philippines. This event is sponsored by Plan Radar and the Southeast Gate Philippines. Once again, I'm Ice Calderon, and I'll see you again next month for another event of the ICFG. But before we finally say goodbye, can I actually ask everyone to turn their cameras on so that we can have a digital selfie? This is how we do our events these days. So just those who are comfortable to turn their cameras on. Kath, kindly remove the screen share. Thank you so much. All right. Also, while you're turning your cameras on, kindly send us a
Thank you.
message regarding your information, contact details. Thank you, especially to our resource speakers. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and to our attendees as well. So, are we ready for the selfie? Who's taking a picture? Well, I'll be taking a picture. Hold on. Smile, everyone. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. Oops, sorry. What? Let me do that again. One more. Okay, smile. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. And please
Thank
get in
you.
touch with us regarding your contact details. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.
God bless you all. Thank you.
God
Hi,
bless.
Hi,
Bye.
Charlie.
Ray. Hi, Ray.